Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, this answers a question as to how many episodes per season. Apparently, there were 18 episodes, but the last episode was a two-part episode, which is going to be split up for syndication because it's an actual network show. So we got the episode Tricks of the Trade, part 1 and 2, and we have an individual case, which I'll just deal with really quickly. I'm not going to spoil it, but basically Sarah's client that was getting her to write a letter, cease and desist, basically had a fight, accidentally killed a friend, and has to go to court, and she kind of gets sucked into it. And Olivia is so irate at her that she actually was basically taking on a client before she's ready, when she's in a position where she shouldn't, that she said, well, you've put us in this mess, you're going to take the case. So it's the first case. She struggles, but with the help of Maddie and everyone else, they actually do a really good job with the case. And again, I'm not going to spoil it because it was really an interesting case and resolution. Now, so far as Maddie and Olivia, it's pretty frosty to start off with. There is some brutal negotiations as so far as them working together, but eventually Olivia starts to see there is actually something wrong here, and she wants to know the truth because that is the most important thing to her. And she starts to look past her own, personal interests and that, and actually putting the truth and what's important first. Because she gets made partner, the ex basically quits the firm because he realizes he's never going to be accepted by his dad because he was a spoiled kid and he got everything given to him, whereas the father had to earn it all just like she did, which is why he respects her and gave her the partnership. And eventually she gets into, I've forgotten the husband's name. Olivia gets into her ex-husband's bank details and initially finds out that yes, the mother did let him into his trust so he could buy the house. So he wasn't bribed by someone to hide the records. But then as she's about to leave, this banker that she's manipulated, because one thing Maddie did do was she gave her a bunch of help to deal with certain things to solve the case. And she managed to show her just how hard it is to manipulate people and how it's not easy. Also that she's very good at it, but also that it's not easy. She starts to see Maddie's side of things and starts to become on her side, and they start to work together and come to the realization that maybe the friendship did matter, it was real, and maybe they can make up and there can be forgiveness. So there's some hope there, because it wasn't fun seeing them at each other's throats and the tension and everything. But so Sarah's doing a case, and Olivia gets called by the banker to go in, and she's like, you have to stay here with Sarah. And they were supposed to go together to make sure that she doesn't hide any evidence or whatever. She said, look, I'll show you all the proof. And there is plenty of proof of the bank issues. And she was kind of happy in a way that it wasn't him, because then they could work together to work it out. And she didn't have to take down her friend's family, basically. And then the banker lady's like, oh, do you want to have a look in the safety deposit box? And she's like, oh, of course, I was just about to ask that. So she goes in, and what does she find in the safety deposit box but the files? So, and I have to say, I'm really jealous of Americans and their safety deposit boxes. In Australia, I opened up one once, and all they gave you was an envelope. You put your stuff in it, seal it, and then go in the safe, basically. And I'm like, really? I wanted like the little long metal tray that you can open up and with a little lock and flip it open, all suspenseful and everything. But no, just get an envelope. But yeah, so we have that scenario, and who should come in behind her? But the husband is like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I found this. I know. So people know this is going to come out. And at first he's like, you need to protect me. And she's like, no, I need to protect my children from you. Because he's like, what about the children? She's like, I need to protect them from you. This is what you're capable of. But eventually he manipulates her around, and she's saying, why didn't you shred this? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe I kept it because I felt guilty, or to remind me. Because basically what he said was, 14 years ago, I was not the person I am today. I was in my father's shadow. I was trying to get his approval. I realised I'm never going to, and I've moved on. And don't let me be defined by the worst thing I ever did in my life. And let's just shred this together. And then we end, and we don't really know if she's going to help him, if she's going to just surrender all her integrity. And then the very, very last scene is Alfie, or whatever the kid's name, the grandson's name. He was hiding something. He'd found his father, and he was trying to tell them, but they were too busy with all their dramas now, because she wants to go back to law after this. She doesn't want to go back to just being a housewife and retiring, and the husband wants to just spend their time together and they had that conflict. But basically the last scene is she goes to the door and it's the father, and he's saying, yeah, my son found me, I'd like to be part of his life. And she actually opens the door and lets him in. I thought she was going to slam the door in his face. So I was hoping for a nice resolution, and then maybe next season there'd be like another big case or something they'd take on or something. I don't like the idea of this dragging out over multiple seasons, because sometimes stories just aren't, enough to drag out over multiple seasons, and sometimes they just make something that'll work for a season, but then they get a 5-season show or something, they just have to stretch it really thin. So I was hoping for more resolution. We got a bunch of cliffhangers and threads and everything and things set up for the next season. But overall it was good. The character work was there. Aside from being able to spot Kathy Bates's lace front in a few shots, which I thought I noticed a couple of times before, but yeah, they got particularly lazy this episode. But yeah, overall the show is good. I was really hoping that this case would be like a seasonal thing, and maybe the next case would be them, doing something together or something, working together, and there'd be some big shift or change at the end of the season instead of just a cliffhanger. So yeah, I don't like cliffhangers, and I wasn't expecting with this. For some reason I thought this would be like a lot of shows where each season you have a different sort of main story or issue. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I was going to try and keep this to 5 minutes, but technically it's a review for 2 episodes, so I couldn't get it all out in one. But yeah, I'm going to miss not having any Matlock. I've been enjoying the show. I don't know how long till we get a new episode, but I'm glad there's going to be more seasons, and the show is doing really well. I just hope they allow this issue to be resolved in the correct time and then move on with the show if they have to, rather than dragging this main story out over and over again, because the little stories I think are the better stories. The overall is interesting, it has some good moments, but I don't really think it's strong enough to drag too far. So I'm just hoping that if they do keep going with the show, that they find a way to adapt to that. But I'm really going to go this time.